So Dr. C here. So what I want to do now is walk you through how to do the data analysis. So if you look at your lab report, we're going to walk through how to do that. So the first thing it says is to using Excel, I want you to go ahead and put in your data. And so I kind of made a little chart here so you can kind of see how I would put the data in. So you've got your results. You want to state if it's the 0.02 molar or the 0.01. And then you want to have a column for your time and your absorbance. Now, once you make the column for your time, you can highlight it and Control-C, Control-V to make the next one. So you want one section there for your 0.02. And then if you scroll down, I made another section for my 0.01. It will be helpful to have the columns where it's time, absorbance, time, ln of absorbance, time, 1/absorbance, then only one time. It'll make it easier when you're trying to highlight your stuff and make your charts. So at this point, pause the video so that you can go ahead and you can have your Excel table look kind of like my Excel table so that you are caught up. All right, so now I'm going to assume you've done that. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to calculate the ln absorbance and the 1/absorbance for both of the data sets. Okay, so you want to go into the table, into one of your cells, and you want to click it so that your cursor is in there. You want to put equals, and then you just type in LN, open parentheses, and then you want to click on the absorbance number over here, the cell, so that it says, for me, B5, close my parentheses and press enter, and it will do the math for you. Okay. Now, you would like for all of this math to be done. You can actually do it one of two ways. You could go Control-C, highlight, Control-V, and it'll plug it in. So now all those have been plugged in for me. Or if I go like this, or say, let me go back. Say I only have, I did my one table and you want to kind of scroll it down. If you put your cursor at the top right here, so now it's like this big cross. Now it's this little black one. It's right over it, and you left click and you drag down, and it'll drag it, and you can drag it all the way down to where it now fills in all of them. Okay, so do that for all your LNs. Go down here, do it again. Then for your absorbance, click on it, press equals 1/ divided by, and then click over here on the absorbance that you want it to be. So click on this absorbance and press enter. Okay. Same thing, you could do this little guy to scroll down, or you could do the Control-V. I like just the scroll down. To me, that's easier. All right, so now we have all of that data. And remember, your data might not going to look different. So don't worry about your numbers. These should be negative, etc. So that's number one, is to do those calculations. Number two is to prepare 3 graphs. And I have the example graphs next to it. So we're going to do the concentration of A versus time, ln of A versus time, and 1/A versus time, which is why we made our charts, our columns this way. So to make your graphs, you want to highlight that first section. Okay, highlight your first section, and then you want to go to insert. Now, if you're using Google Sheets or like Microsoft Online, how you insert your graphs is a little different. Remember, you made graphs last lab, so that should help. But we want to insert, and we want to do a scatter plot, so where it's just my little dots. We don't want anything else. So do your little dots like that. Now we have everything here. Now we have to add to it. We need to add our axes. So you want to go over to your cross here, or you can go up to the top left over here and do add chart elements. So we want to add axis titles, add another axis title. Remember, this is in time, in seconds. And this is just my absorbance. Okay. Absorbance time, and then up here, you want to have a nice title, something that tells me what's going on. So this is absorbance versus time for the 0.01 molar NaOH. You want something specific because we're going to have another absorbance versus time when you come down here. You're going to have to make it, oh, sorry, that was for the 0.02. Let me fix my chart. You're gonna make another one for the 0.01. So we wanna make sure that we've got it straight. This is for the 0.02 in my chart. And then when I come down here, I'll make another one for the 0.01, okay? So make all your charts. The next one you wanna make is you wanna make it for time versus ln. So you come over here and you highlight this. Highlight all your data, insert, scatter plot here, and then you've got that one. Add your axis label, add your time axis label, add your ln of absorbance. It's not going to say absorbance, it should say ln of absorbance, and change your title. Okay, so you should have 6 graphs. So after step 2, so step 2 in your data analysis sheet says prepare the 3 plots. It's 3 per concentration. So you'll have, or you could put both concentrations on the same graph. It's honestly up to you, but I would just make 6 graphs. It's easier. However you want to do it. So either have 6 graphs or you'd put the ln of absorbance for each one on here, but sometimes it's just easier to make 6. So you need all your graphs. Make sure you have your axis labels for each one and state if it's 0.01 or 0.02. Okay. Now, on here on 2A, it says to use smooth lines. Don't use the smooth lines, just use the scatter plots because I'm going to show you how to do something else on there. So then the next step, step 3, says to determine which graph gives you the straightest line. And this is going to give us the order for M. This is going to tell us what M is. Whichever one gives us a straighter line, the absorbance, the ln of absorbance, or the 1 over absorbance, that tells me the M. Sorry. So if absorbance versus time is the straightest, my M is 0. If ln of absorbance is straightest, it's going to be first order. If it's 1 over absorbance is the straightest, it's going to be second order. Well, how do we know which is the straightest? Now you can kind of visually see it, but the best way is to kind of measure it mathematically. So if you click on your chart on the data points and you either right click it, go to add trend line, or you could, if you've just highlight the chart, you could go here, add trend line. There's a couple of different ways you could go. You could go up to design. And I think if you go here to add chart element, you could do trend line here. All of those will work. Whichever one you pick though, I want you, whichever way you go, either clicking on your data points or clicking here, we want to go to where it says more options. So regardless, go to more options. We want the linear, and then when I want you to scroll down, I want you to display equation in R squared. Okay, so display equation in R squared. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to do the same thing, add my trend line, linear, equation R squared. So you're going to do that for all 6. Okay, now we want to compare. So compare your absorbance to your ln of absorbance compared to your 1 over absorbance. Whoever has the highest R. So this R here is 0.8. This is 0.9. Whichever has the highest R is the straightest line. So we're not just kind of looking at it, we're picking it based on my R squared value. Okay, so go through and graph it and figure it out. So that's everything that you need to do for steps 1, 2, and 3. So steps 1 is to get all your data and format it the right way. Step 2 is make all 6 graphs. Step 3 is to create this R squared on your graphs so that you can figure out who's the straightest line. And the next video, I'll show you what you do once you have M, how we do step 4 to find N. All right, so great job. You guys are good to go for the next video.